Alex, I have mango wine after like 2 drinks from the last episode.
I'm Kelsey. I have my same $5 Pinot Noir.
I'm Leah. I'm becoming a regular. I'm not gonna say I'm a main cast member here. I was always included among these three. But yeah. Anyway, I'm just playing. I'm so happy to be here. I loved you guys, and I got this.
Leah's our regular.
I love you guys. I wander. I'm not committed enough to be I'm not part of group chats, but I'm definitely. I want to be here.
Well, I'll be presenting today, and mine is our second episode of Pride, and it's about lesbian trailblazers. So these are my names, if you guys have seen them.
Wait, I just saw this. It's the macaque. The macaque, for viewers, is this type of monkey, and they got tired of waiting around for monkeys to have sex with them, so they decided they were gonna have sex with each other, and then the men were like, wait, can we have a little sex? And the women were like, no! And they were just fucking all over the place, lesbian monkeys.
I'm proud of you, Leah. You learned something.
Oh, that was amazing. I'm gonna pay that much attention this time, too.
So I'm gonna be focusing on like lesbian or like even bisexual women from like history, primarily history, not like individuals who are actually still alive today. But like these are the trailblazers I've listed out for y'all to listen to, or for me to talk about. I'm really out there today. I'm sorry. So I'm gonna start out strong, and I'm gonna talk about Sappho. Kelsey, you're still muted.
I'm muted. I added a comment and then you changed it.
Wait, what was your comment? I can backspace.
I hit undo. I didn't see it though. There.
Yeah,
Okay.
that really goes with Alex. Are we all ready?
Yeah, that was all I wanted.
Perfect. So I'm going to be talking about my first heavy hitter is going to be Sappho. Do you guys know who Sappho is?
Pick me.
Kelsey, do you know who Sappho is?
A lesbian poet who lived. Did she live on Lesbos?
She did.
She wrote poetry about fucking girls.
She's not the first lesbian?
She's considered the first lesbian. So she was born into a wealthy family from Lesbos, which is like one of the islands off the coast of Greece. Her poetry was well known and was also associated with the 9 lyric poets who were esteemed ancient Greek poets by the scholars of Hellenistic Alexandria, which is like, I think it's not, I don't know if it's in Egypt, but it's somewhere close to there. But I know they had like the Library of Alexandria, which is like pretty much in shambles or like no longer to be found. But she is the second in canonical order and the only woman among those 9 poets during ancient, like who they consider the 9 lyric poets. She's an archaic Greek poet, as I said before, and her poetry was meant to be sung with a lyre, aka like lyric poetry. And obviously, as you can tell from the PowerPoint, that Lesbos, they've gotten the term lesbian from the actual island of Lesbos, and then Sapphic, the term Sapphic, is from her actual name of Sappho. And she was also known as like, or considered by some to be like the 10th muse, or otherwise known as the poetess. And there was originally 9 muses who were considered like Greek goddesses or something, who all, so this pretty much what they believe is to be an archaic poem where the speaker asks Aphrodite to help pursue a beloved, or specifically the attentions of an unnamed woman, and she specifically names herself in it to be like actually going after this woman. Some people throughout history have kind of suggested it might be humorous, so it might not actually be realistic, but that's what many people, like a lot of people think it's, you know, just like her being like, oh, I actually want to go after this woman. but in history, she hasn't always been considered a lesbian rather than a promiscuous heterosexual woman.
Pals being pals.
Yeah, exactly. And to this day, her sexuality is still being debated, even though, like, in multiple different or just a few different poems, she has been talked about women many times.
Historians will say they were friends.
I'm
Exactly.
gonna make sure that I write in my journal, I wanna fuck Leah, and I wanna fuck Leah because I'm gay.
Me
Gonna
too.
be
In my will. In my will.
in your will.
Just make sure they know what that term means because it could easily mean happy from a different time period. So
I just want to note that I had no idea that when people say lyric poetry, they're referring to poetry meant to be sung with a lyre, and it's
A
kind of
lyre.
blowing my mind right now.
yeah, it's a lyre. It's kind of. Do you know what a lyre is, right?
Yeah, it's like the instrument thing. I have a
Yeah,
vague idea of what it looks like.
Yeah, it's kind of like a harp, but it's like easily transportable.
It's like a harp guitar, right?
I'm thinking
Yeah.
about getting one and actually learning
But
it.
but that's what lyric poetry means.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's really sending me.
Does anyone know who Queen Christina of Sweden is?
I know this one. I think is this the one that I think it is? That is this the one that there was the Netflix movie about?
There are a few Netflix movies. Some of them are really bad.
No, there was one I watched about her where she had like
Is
a
it called The
lesbian
Girl
lover
King?
that she was like writing letters to, and she was like involved with, she was like talking to all these philosophers, and like I wish I could remember the movie, but I swear it was about her.
Well, there's a movie about her, but it's called The Gay King, or I mean,
Yes,
sorry,
yes,
Girl
yes.
King.
Yeah, the Girl King.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they're like not sure. Is it because they're not sure if she was gay or trans? I'm trying to remember the movie. I watched it like years ago.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen the Gay Women channel like actually react to it, so I've only seen their reactions to it.
Oh, you
But
should watch it. It was really good.
okay, I've heard it's like kind of good, and then also sometimes like I've heard it's kind of bad.
Well,
But
I don't know the history to know if it was like accurate, but I know it was. I don't know. Most of it was just about her being really cool, and then there's like a gay relationship toward the end of it.
yeah, so she's more just like kind of like I don't know how to describe it. It's like she had a relationship or it's considered, you know how it's like gals being pals, whereas like she was linked to another woman and they're not 100% sure what the sexual relationship or if they had any relationship at all between them. But this woman she was connected to was Ebba Spare, and she was her closest female friend who she shared a bed with. Like she was kind of her bed companion or her bed warmer. So and
And companion.
yeah, so pretty much like if I were to get a girlfriend, I'm gonna call her my bed companion. But Christina called her Belle, and she continued to write to her even after she left Sweden and told her that, like in letters that she loved her. So that can easily be considered by many historians like, oh, I love you as a good friend or something. But like some people have said she's like,
Friend
oh,
whose bed I warm.
what was that?
A friend whose bed I warm.
Okay.
I would,
So yeah,
and that can also be a new code in addition to macaquing is bed warming.
there's a few codes in this presentation I'll tell you about, especially during the 1920s and 30s. But she was considered exceptionally bright at the age of 14 and would study for like 10 hours a day. Like, so I definitely associate like Kelsey or Alex to this, like to her, because like she's just like she learned like 7 or 8 languages. Like she studied religion. She was interested in many different topics that were important to that day, or even that weren't considered taboo. but she ended up abdicating the throne on June 6th, 1654, and previously announced she would not marry on February 26th, 1649. So she pretty much said, like, I'm not interested in marriage at all. I'm going to give the throne to one of my cousins, even though she had two older siblings, but the throne automatically went to her. I can't remember the reasoning behind why the two older sisters didn't get it, but I believe at least one of them married someone who wasn't Lutheran or someone who went against the Lutheran faith. So she automatically didn't get it, but she got it. She was completely against getting married, and she announced that to her superiors or the people who she was associated with on February 26th, 1649. And then she ended up, when she had to leave Sweden, she actually left in men's clothing on horseback, no less, and that should be depicted actually at the end of those that movie that you saw, because it's like it shows her going off
The
on
girl
horseback
king.
in like a field or something, and it shows her going through Denmark. But the thing is that it was actually during the 30 Years' War. In the 30 Years' War, I'm not 100% sure, but I know they pretty much, like, whoever helped her get out of Sweden, they pretty much told her dress in men's clothing because there's like a conflict between Sweden and Denmark, so it disguised her, and then she ended up in Rome, and then she ended up dying there years later. But yeah, and then that's Christina. Oh, and then the portrait I have of her is of her by Jacob Ferdinand Vogt. I doubt any of you will know who this is. Does anyone know Benedetta Carlini? Y'all aren't saying anything.
Nope.
All right. So she was actually a nun. From like she was born in 1591 to like an actual like middle class family, kind of on like the more wealthy side. So I kind of labeled her as a lesbian who became a Catholic nun, but it's kind of debated on actually if she was a lesbian or not. So she became an abbess after she became a nun at the age of 30, and she had visions where men were trying to kill her. So it was kind of like, you know how you hear different stories about different saints seeing visions or whatnot, and then that's how they get their saintlyhood. So this woman actually got visions of men trying to kill her instead of just like God figures. And the other sisters believed she was visited by demons. So they sent in another sister to be confined to a cell with her. This sister was named Sister Bartholomew. I'm gonna call it. And soon the visions, I should say, had mostly ceased, except for some supernatural visitations. So the papacy found out about these visions that she had, and they investigated. So they had like 3 or 4 different visits, maybe even more, but they ended up interrogating the sister Bartolomea, and she ended up admitting that she had some type of sexual relations with this other sister, or the abbess. And but when she admitted it, she kind of just said that when they had these sexual relations, that Sister Benedetta was actually possessed by a male demon known as Splenditello. So you could either say she actually was, she wasn't.
That's some homophobic shit right there.
Yeah, this is easily one of my favorite stories, but it's just like so unbelievable that it's like it can easily be considered like a Conjuring. Like I could see like totally like this can be like a Conjuring movie, but
Or they just used The Conjuring 'cause no one wanted to say she's gay.
pretty much, yeah. And then what sucks about this though is that she had the worst ending out of everyone in this presentation because she was held under guard for 35 years, like pretty much to her death, and she was stripped of her primacy as abbess. So she was still a nun, but she was held under guard and just completely watched for the rest of her life, just to make sure that no demons pretty much invaded her body, or so she wouldn't pretty much fuck anyone else. Any questions about that?
What's an abbess?
Abbess is someone, or at least in today's day and age, it's someone who's still a nun, but they are promoted to, like, it's like the hierarchy of nuns, but they're the ones who actually like see over everything. So like they're the higher nun of all the nuns within that specific nunnery.
A nun dictatorship?
Say that. Like there's always someone who's higher than everyone else.
The nun hierarchy, I guess.
Yeah,
Everybody has got another boss.
you always have someone who's higher than everyone else. Sorry, I gotta get some more
I
wine.
feel like I'm getting too drunk to follow things.
Alex, that's not good.
Then say more stupid shit.
I was getting a snack.
So if I name my kid Bartolomea, you're gonna call the CPS?
Yes.
Why?
Child abuse.
That's not abuse.
That is
You could just
abusive.
call him Bart, even though it's a girl. Alright, I'm gonna go on to the next slide.
Do Barda.
Barta, that's good.
Make it female. Barda.
Does anyone know who these two are?
No.
So this is Marcela Gracia Ibeas. I'm hoping I'm saying that name right. And then Elisa Sanchez Loriga.
Same.
Like I said again, I'm hoping I'm saying this name right. Their names right. So this was actually the first documented same-sex marriage in Spain. Like it's like totally a marriage. It's like not actually like they went to a church and they took communion together, which I will discuss in another presentation or another slide. But this is Elisa and a woman named Marcela. Elisa actually took on the name of Mario Sanchez to be able to marry Marcela. So these two were actually friends for a while, I believe in college, but they Marcela's parents ended up sending her to Madrid after the friendship grew into a romance. So like at least the people who were around them knew what was going on, but they try to keep it like hush hush, keep them away from each other at all costs, typical, stuff that happens. So this was considered a marriage without a man. Wait, who wrote what?
I feel like that's their
In
logo.
college.
Oh, Friends in College. Sorry, you guys were covering it up.
This is friends in college, definitely also a new euphemism for lesbians.
Yeah, you could say that. So, like, they originally had their first encounter when they were in college, then they were separated, and they were both school teachers. So, they ended up getting married, and out, newspapers ended up outing them, and they were pretty much excommunicated from their society altogether, and they ended up escaping to South America, or that's where they believe they were headed, but no one really knows where they were after that. There was a rumor, I believe, that they like were fine or whatever, but like, or they ended, Marcella or either Lisa ended up marrying an actual guy afterwards, but no one really has been able to confirm that. But the one thing that is 100% true is that the marriage was actually never annulled. So it's actually one of the only marriages in history, like 200 years or 100 years before marriage was legal in any country between homosexuals to be legal.
Typical lesbians rushing to get married.
I know. So you can also
The original U-Hauls.
yeah, you can easily bring like the transgender question into this, especially with Eliza's case, because you don't know if she just did it like to change her identity just so she would be able to marry Marcella, but like I don't know. That's what I've always wondered if like Elisa was always like actually transgender, but you don't know. Does anyone know Ann Lister? Kelsey, I will be shocked if you don't know Ann Lister.
I feel like I know the name Ann Walker.
Okay, so Ann Walker was married to Ann Lister. Do you know the TV show on BBC? It's called Gentleman Jack.
I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
You need to watch it. It is so good. So I will just say, out of all actresses in all the universes anywhere else, the woman who plays Ann Lister, Saran Jones, I have the biggest crush on her. You have no idea. So Ann Lister was born on April 3rd, 1791, and she died on September 22nd, 1840. She really was known because like her family was wealthy and whatnot. She inherited Shibden Hall, which was in I think Halifax, in Britain somewhere. I don't know the exact geographical location, but she's well known as an English diarist and famous for her detailed accounts with women. Like these detailed accounts went into detail. I'm not even kidding. Like she talked about like everything. I haven't read like the actual diaries themselves, but she was so brilliant that she wrote these diaries. She wrote them in a different language. But these languages, or this language that she came up with, like she literally came up with her own language just so she could write them because she was terrified, or like what people believe, she was terrified of people finding out what she did with these women. But she ended up marrying Ann Walker, who was another wealthy socialite back in the day. She inherited Shipton Hall from I think her uncle or something, because all of her other siblings died except for one of her sisters. But like I said, she was known for her diary entries, who have just been like recently discovered, and like they were recently translated. But I think some of her other descendants found the diaries and didn't really know what to make of it, but they actually ended up decoding it and figuring out what it actually meant. And they actually didn't believe it when they read it, because they actually thought it was fake, because who would write such graphic depictions of affairs between women back in the day? But they actually, yeah, that's exactly what they stumbled upon.
I can't believe she wrote it in code. That's such a baller move.
She pretty much just wrote everyday details of her life, specifically with women. And what's so amazing about her is that she actually wanted to marry a woman. Like she was totally for it and stuff like that. And then she ended up marrying Ann Walker, another woman, like I said before. And they didn't actually technically marry, but they took communion together. And between them, that's what like marriage meant. It's like you went before God and you actually, and then they said their vows to each other. And then
that was probably at the time the closest to official marriage.
Yeah, I mean they probably did.
A lot of places probably wouldn't allow it, but
yeah, they probably did it
really
on like a Sunday afternoon or something. But there's a plaque outside of the actual church that is dedicated to Ann Lister. Actually, only known depiction of her is actually in the far left corner. So that's what she looked like. And then someone did an artistic representation of where I have the image that's actually bigger on the left. Did I say right before? Wait, did I say left? I'm so out of it. I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure you said that right.
Okay.
I understood it.
That lady is creepy, especially the one in the black. Sorry.
You need to watch the TV series. She's so charming in the TV series, and I'm just like, damn, I just want to go on that. Like, I want to just jump back in time and actually just be
the one in the corner is a little creepy.
Thank you.
Yeah, no,
It might also just be the paint, the way the painting is.
totally.
Something about her facial proportions are like wrong.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
just
why I feel like there's just something slightly off with the painting, and I think that was just like painting style at that time, or something.
Oh, they did. I looked up Gentleman Jack. That looks just like the one on the left. They did a good job.
They did a really good job. That's like,
Oh,
I love that TV show. Yeah,
that's like pretty good.
I'm not even kidding. It's so good, the TV show. So anyone who's listening to this, go watch Gentleman Jack. But Gentleman Jack, though, the actual phrase was, she would walk around like in mainly men's clothing from the top portion of her, and then she would wear a long skirt. So people called her Gentleman Jack, and it was considered like, it was taken as a way of just like bad mouthing her, and they made it into a TV show, but they called it Gentleman Jack as her nickname per se.
The thing in one of my like anime things, there's this character and they called him, well, it's actually her, but they called her Genocide Jack, and then she goes, let's go with Genocide Jill. I don't know, I thought maybe it was a pun, but like maybe not. I don't know though.
Yeah, you're just not wearing a shirt now.
Oh, well, I'm actually dyeing my hair. Is it okay if I just, because I was
I mean, I don't care.
I was gonna put it on and then I was like, wait, I don't even have to. But yeah, I'm bleaching my hair.
I also dye my hair in a brow. Is that just the thing to do?
If you're a bisexual.
I didn't know that was a thing.
You don't want to get it on your shirt, but like it's like weird to have your
I've
full
seen it in like crappy shirts, like you don't wear anymore, or like you don't.
Really messy dye.
But like, yeah, I guess bras work too.
Well, I usually just do overtones, so I put it on like 10 minutes before I get in the shower.
Oh, girl, that's so smart. You look so good.
Leah's kind of macaque.
All right, so we on to the next one.
We are. Get Ann Lister out of here.
You guys definitely don't know this. Maybe Kelsey knows, but I definitely don't think anyone else will. Do you know who the ladies of Llangollen are?
No, and I'm really sad because it says Ireland.
So yeah, they were originally women. There were 3 women.
They were originally women?
No. There were 3 women who lived together. But the 2 most well known are Sarah Ponsonby and Eleanor Butler. So in 1780, they left Ireland to live together in Llangollen, North Wales. But they ended up becoming such a huge phenomenon among like people who didn't know them. Like they were visited by people that were huge in that era. So I don't think anyone here will know them. I don't even know them. But they were visited by Anna Seward, Robert Southey, William Wordsworth, Percy Shelley, Lord Byron, and Sir Walter Scott. But another person they were visited by is, who else have we seen in this slide?
Oh, several people?
Well, who else do you think would visited them and who actually looks like them?
I'm trying to think of the time periods. Anne was like a similar-ish time period. Who else was there? There's Sappho.
I don't think Sappho.
I know, Sappho is not the same time period.
So
Anne
who's
Butler was
correct
in
answer?
Wales, or it was in England, wasn't she?
Who?
The Anne whatever, wasn't she in England?
Yeah, so Anne Lister was
Anne
actually
Lister, that's who it was.
visited them a few times.
I'm
And
too drunk to remember.
yeah, no, you're fine. So many people have suggested that Anne Lister actually got majority of her clothes or like her ideas after them, or at least like her attire after them, because they specifically wore exactly what you're seeing in this image. Was just, and many people said like, oh, it was like for the time period, or just like the specific region they were in, it was appropriate. But they are also considered to be in a Boston marriage, which let me look that up real quick.
I'm
I
sorry.
can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Like that's their style. That's kosher. to whatever culture Ireland, like
Whatever culture Ireland.
whatever I was saying, like whatever culture they were in, but I sounded like Donald connecting ideas like that.
So, a Boston marriage was historically the cohabitation of two wealthy women who were independent of financial support among, like, of men.
Gals din pals.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like totally amazing, and there weren't many men or many women who were financially independent of men during this time period or any time period before the 1900s. Like, or
How
I
am
mean,
I
the
already
20
this drunk?
what?
How am I already this drunk?
Like,
Yeah, I
feel
know.
like
I'm
you've
already
had,
there.
like, half of what I've had to drink. Like, what number drink are you on?
3.
I'm on
Of
like
of
4.
what? Of wine?
This is second wine, and I had this entire canned margarita thing.
I'm like
Oh
this
my god.
whole bottle of wine.
But you see, this is about how much I do in a night, and we're still got a few slides of Carly's thing left. I might make another
Sweetie, it's more than a
glass.
few slides.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm like, we probably got a decent amount of your presentation left, and I'm pretty much done with my third glass, where I'm drunk enough to be like, let's have another one.
Yeah.
I might finish my bottle tonight.
Crap, the drunker you get, the more you're just like another.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they were there's like no actual record compared to Ann Lister, like where Ann Lister literally told every sexual relationship she ever had, like in specific detail, like every single night she talked about it. Whereas these two, or these three specifically, they didn't have any
What's it?
record at all. But it was like highly rumored, and they obviously had a lot of people come to them, and like because they were a huge talk of the town or just like the area specifically, and like they were just very notable, and they lived together for 50 years.
And I had a dog.
I'm guessing y'all know about this one.
I didn't know she was gay.
Excuse me? I thought you did.
I knew who she is, but I didn't know anything about.
I wrote a whole paper on Eleanor Roosevelt and like thought I knew everything about her.
So some of this stuff came out recently, I think within the past 10 years, but they were like, I mean, obviously everyone knows who she was. She was married to one of the presidents, Franklin D. Roosevelt, who also happened to
He
be
was
her
her
fifth
fifth
cousin once
cousin?
removed. What was that?
He was her 5th cousin.
Yeah, that's what I found
That's
out.
like that's like kind of far
Pretty
away.
far removed.
Yeah, I'm like, that's pretty far away, but I like that's just it's just weird to phrase it as they married their 5th cousin.
Yeah, I just wanted to put that in there because I just thought it was really weird. But
It's decently far removed though.
Like, I don't know who my 5th cousins are.
this is
Yeah.
true. I mean, you could like easily marry one of your 5th cousins in the future.
Also, I feel like she was definitely bisexual.
Like, I'm guessing none of you know Lorena Hickok, right? So she was actually a reporter who was out. Like, she was known as a lesbian during that time. I can't so it was kind of like known that she had a close relationship with her, and she was Lorena Hickok was associated with the Associated Press. She covered the last months of the presidential campaign, and apparently she fell madly in love with her. Many people didn't believe that she actually had a relationship with her, but there have been people, or there have been letters between them who have currently been, or who had previously been shown to the public, where they profess their love to each other. So during this period, Roosevelt wrote daily 10 to 15 page letters to Hick. Like, she called her Hick, and she was planning to write a biography of the First Lady. And the letters include such endearments as, I want to put my arms around you and kiss you at the center of your mouth. And I can't kiss you, or I kiss your
pretty
picture
gay.
goodnight and good morning. Like, I don't know how you can explain that any other way. And then that's why a lot of people have said, like, a lot of people close to Eleanor or who are in her family have said, like, no, they weren't in a relationship. Whereas, like, then those letters came out. It's like, how else can you say that they were, like, you can't really say that they weren't in a relationship. But she's known to have many relationships with also men as well, so she can easily be considered like a bisexual icon. So she's probably was bisexual. It's just during that era, it was hard like to define her sexuality. Oh, she was also extremely tall. She was, I think, 6 feet tall or 6'1". So she was like 2 or 3 inches taller than me, and I'm very tall. You know who? What was that?
I was gonna say my brain just went to the vampire lady from Resident Evil, but everyone was freaking
Oh my god, I know who that you're talking about.
Sorry, does Kelsey know what I'm talking about?
No.
So there was
Oh my god.
there's a new Resident Evil game, and there's like an 8-foot tall vampire lady.
Oh, the I love my tall wife meme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know who Dorothy Asner is?
Oh.
Have you ever heard of her?
I feel like the name sounds familiar, but I don't know anything about her.
So she was born on January 3rd, 1897. She was one of the few American film directors who were female during the 1920s to early 1940s. And people who say that there weren't many female directors before this era is wrong, because there were a lot, but they started to phase out during the 1940s due to other issues and whatnot, and it became kind of a male-dominated society during that after World War II and stuff like that. But she actually helped launch Katharine Hepburn's, which is easily one of the most well-known actresses ever, because she won, I think, how many did I say, Alex? How many awards for just the Oscars alone? 4 Academy Awards, I think it was.
You said 3 or 4, but
Yeah, so she's like the
that's
most.
not all.
Yeah, she's the most prolific, I think, with the amount of Academy Awards for what was it? Shit. So something like that. And she's also helped launch Lucille Ball's career. And so those two are very well known in Golden Age Hollywood era. Her most well-known romance is with Marion Morgan. It's seen in the right hand corner. She's actually sitting on Marion's lap. Romance was actually a 40-year relationship. And Marion was actually a dancer and choreographer who was 10 years older than her. But she was also rumored to be with Joan Crawford, Katharine Hepburn. She was also linked romantically to Alla Nazimova and Billy Burke, who Alla Nazimova were actually going to meet in another slide. Any questions about this? Or all right. Here is
Cut around.
What was that?
It said Kelsey at the bottom, bitch got around.
Yeah. So Alla Nazimova, does anyone know who she is? Alla Nazimova was actually a Russian American, like many people consider her a bisexual actress, but she was also a producer and screenwriter during that time as well. She was born on June 3rd, 1879, and she died on July 13th, 1945. She's connected to Jean Acker, Eva Llangollen, Dorothy Asner, as we previously discussed, Mercedes de Acosta, Dolly Wilde, who I believe is the niece of Oscar Wilde. Does anyone know who he is?
Oh yeah.
Well, he wrote
Kelsey knows.
He wrote a bunch of plays.
Yeah.
He's the one. He has a bunch of gay quotes. He was super gay.
Yeah, so she was connected with her, Bridget Ticknauer, and Natasha Rambova, but that's rumored. There's a few rumored ones, but she She lived with Glesha Marshall from 1929 until her death, and that was like the most well known out of all of her relationships with women. But has anyone heard of the Garden of Allah?
Like Allah,
Allah, yeah.
like the god.
I mean, you could say that. This is it was pretty much just wait, let me
Is
see.
it supposed to be the word Allah? Allah spelled with an H. Is it a different word or the same word?
No, it's a different word.
Oh, okay.
So it was
Must be
actually there
I
were
don't
like widespread rumors of outlandish and alleged debauched parties at her mansion on like Hollywood, and they were known as the Garden of Allah, which she leased in what like this was her mansion was known as the Garden of Allah in 1918, and then she bought outright the next year. But they were known. Wait, shit. Hold on. So in 1930, the hotel had been purchased by Central Holding Corporation. It was changed to the Garden of Allah Hotel. So it's ALLAH.
So is it referring to Allah like the
It might be. I haven't actually read too much into it, but I know
I mean that
that
would make sense because it would be like the Garden of Eden essentially.
yeah, so she created the Garden of Allah Hotel, which became a retreat for many celebrities of the time, and like that's where kind of like a bunch of different stuff happened between different celebrities who were gay and bisexual and stuff like that. And that's where the term suing circle has become, or sewing circle. Does anyone know that?
No.
So suing circle or sewing circle became a discrete code for lesbian or bisexual actresses. So it's like you're within this specific circle of, and then you would just be associated with that.
It says she named it the Garden of Allah after some book that was called that and meant it to be a pun with her name.
I don't know. I know it's located in West Hollywood. I'm trying to look it up right now. She acquired the property in 1919, and she converted it to a residential hotel in 1926. Oh, in 1930, new owners renamed it the Garden of Allah, but it's known as the Garden of Allah. But she is known to host these specific parties where a lot of individuals who are bisexual or gay would come. But yeah, so she was kind of like an awesome like person back in the day for individuals.
Fun parties.
Yeah, I wish I could go back in time just for those parties specifically. But they were like specifically catered to individuals who were a part of Hollywood or who had a lot of money.
I mean, our parties were pretty great.
They were great.